We're going to give everybody a little bit of time to join, and then we'll start probably about a minute after. Okay. I'm going to get started now. I won't give the important information away until a little bit later so that people don't miss the good stuff. So welcome to the Mosaic Year-End Webinar for 2025. A little about myself. My name is Aimee Morgan. I am a Senior Premier Services Consultant here at Mosaic. My first year-end was in 1997, and my first year-end with what was then known as UltiPro was in 2007. So I have been doing this for quite a while. I can almost do it in my sleep, although it's more fun to do it when you're awake. Hopefully we can answer any questions you have, and you won't be as stressed out about this as I was the first couple of times I had to do it. So on the agenda for today, we are going to talk about the checklist. We're going to do a brief overview of what needs to be done for November, December, January. We're going to give you some key dates. We're going to tell you what Mosaic can do to help you with year end. We're going to talk about my favorite topic, the big, beautiful bill. And we are going to see if you have any questions. So here we go, the year-end checklist. It's not out yet. UKG, if you've not done this before with UKG is really good with their checklist. There is a paper checklist. I have it right here from last year, which you can get. It's the paper checklist. This is what you need to do. You can mark down it's been done. It gives you date suggestions for when things should be done. There is also in the web, I believe under payroll, not payroll processing, payroll management, there is a year-end checklist online, which is kind of cool because it, when it tells you to run a report, you click the link and it takes you to that report. I know it is available in mid-market. I'm not sure if they've rolled it out for enterprise or not, but it is really cool. If you've got it, use it. All of the checklists are supposed to be out on October 1st. If you want to get a head start, go ahead and pull the 2024. Not a whole lot has changed. The only thing that really changes year to year is the date. What you can do now is identify your team. Who are the people working on year end? So this is things involved in year end. You've got third-party sick pay. If you've not been getting that throughout the year, you need to make sure you're going to get that to put it on the W-2s. You've got any kind of reimbursement that needs to show up on the W-2 that maybe accounts payable wrote checks for relocation or tuition or something like that, and it needs to run through payroll. Those are the things that you need to do. So you want to reach out to HR, make sure HR knows what they need to provide you so you can get that in there. You need to reach out to accounts payable, finance, know who's supposed to be working, make sure they're not taking the month of December off, which makes things very difficult, and have all of that stuff done. Now, I will say the year-end dashboard is available for 2025. Right now, it's still kind of focusing on W-2s, but that's going to be all kinds of fun. So another thing on here is ordering forms. It's a November task, but the earlier the better. If you're printing your W-2s in-house, go ahead and get the forms ordered if you can. And then put together a year-end calendar with all of the key dates. These are the important dates. You've got your payroll dates, you've got your holidays, you've got the days when you've got to get things done for year end, and then PTO days, so you can plan around that. So moving on to what's actually on the checklist, we have November. November is prep and review. Please feel free to start this in October. What you're going to check, you're going to check to make sure your company setup is correct. You've got to have your federal ID number. You've got to have your tax IDs for all of your state and local taxes. Make sure all of those are done. Hopefully, everything is good. If you've added companies, especially if you've added a component company, you've opened in a new state or in a new locality for someplace with local taxes, please make sure all of that is set up. You have the numbers in there. The next thing you're going to look at is your earnings and deduction tax categories. Once again, this is, if it's your first time, you're going to check all of them. Otherwise, it's just going to be the new stuff. Please be aware that things like 401k, those tax categories update every year. So it's going to say 2024, it will change to, it's going to say 2025. It will change to 2026 when you open your first payroll of 2026. Healthcare reporting, you want to make sure you've got all the information in there for your ACA. You've still got your earnings set up correctly, all of your categories set up correctly for that. Holiday and payroll calendars. So one of your year-end tasks is setting up your holiday calendar in Core. That holiday calendar drives payday. So for instance, if you pay on Thursdays, I have a client that pays on Thursdays. Thanksgiving is a Thursday. You need to put Thanksgiving in there. So your pay calendar for 2026 shifts and make Wednesday the payday, or Friday if you pay the day after. If you are semi-monthly, you need to look at any holiday that's going to fall on a payday. If you're bi-weekly, weekly, you only really have to put in the holidays that fall on paydays. If you don't pay on Mondays, then you don't have to put in Memorial Day and Labor Day because they're not going to impact anything. This does not determine what holidays your employees have. This is driving 100% payroll. In my history, I've always just used the bank holidays. If your company is in the practice that a company holiday that is not also a bank holiday will never be a payday, then you'll want to put those in there. I'm being asked about 1/1 as a holiday only if 1/1 is a normal payday for you. Then you would have to set it up as a holiday. And at this point, no, you wouldn't have had a 2026 payday set up yet. So you would put in 1/1 if 1/1 would normally be a payday for you. Otherwise, you can forget it. The other place for holiday calendars is in your timekeeping system, where you're going to put all of the holidays for all of your different groups of people. If you are not sure how to do that, we can help. Just let us know what timekeeping system you have, and assuming it's a UKG system, we can help you set those up. You're going to look at all of your payroll data. You want to make sure you've got all of the information. Most of this is your tax stuff, but you want to make sure your taxes are set up correctly. Your locations are set up correctly. You want to make sure your employee information is set up correctly. They have legitimate Social Security numbers. They have legal names. They have addresses that work. I normally would send out a reminder to the employees to go out and look at the information, make sure that they haven't moved and forgotten to tell you, the important things. And then you want to look at form delivery. UKG does online web delivery of W-2s. Basically, I go in January, I can download my W-2 for Mosaic. Don't have to worry about paper. Don't have to worry about things getting lost in the mail. Some people like paper. Some people do paper for terminated employees. You want to make sure all of that is set up correctly. And again, almost everything I'm going to tell you, Mosaic can help you with it. Please reach out directly. If you're already working with Mosaic, reach out to the person you're talking to. If they don't know the answer, somebody at Mosaic knows the answer and we can help you with that. Otherwise, reach out to Mosaic itself and we can hook you up with somebody to help you. So that's your November. And again, this is all stuff you can be doing now. Please be doing this stuff now. One thing I did not put on here, in your year-end dashboard, you can generate your W-2s for 2025. You can generate them every day if you want. Do it now when you get a chance, and make sure you don't get a negative wage error, because you need to track that down and fix it. It will also tell you if you're missing any tax codes. Better to do it now than to try to figure it out in January. So now we're going to talk about December, everybody's favorite month. In between all of your Christmas shopping, Hanukkah shopping, winter shopping, whatever you're doing, there's lots of shopping involved. You are going to once again verify all of your company tax information. I always like a second set of eyes on it, especially if you've had to catch something up, fix something from in November. You're going to create an off cycle dated 12/31 to capture adjustments. You need to create it for every single one of your pay groups that has employees this year, even if you stopped paying them in February. This allows you to create adjustments and have them captured in 2025 after you've processed your last 2025 payroll before you do your 2026 payroll. Gives you a nice little bucket in there that you can put those adjustments in. Otherwise, it gets ugly. You're going to process your final regular payroll. If a remote employee moves and doesn't tell us, should we go back and amend payroll to adjust taxes to their new location? That is 100% a company decision. If they didn't update their address in the system and they just now told you that they moved to Pennsylvania in February, that's a company decision whether you're going to fix it for them or you're going to tell them to talk to the state of Pennsylvania. Yes, this is a recorded session and it will be available later. Everybody who attends and everybody who wanted to be on here will get a link to the recording once it has been posted. So I'm going back and forth between comments, so I'm a little disjointed. Process your final payroll. By this, I mean your regular payroll. I typically notified everyone in the company that once I processed that final payroll, I was not making corrections. I was not making adjustments unless it was a big thing. If you forgot to pay Bob entirely, yes, you're going to process a check for Bob. If Joe's missing 2 hours on his check, he's going to get that on his next regular paycheck in January because you've got a lot to do and a short time to do it. So you want to focus on this. So you're going to process your final payroll. You're going to do your adjustments, supplemental payroll, whatever you call it. That is your taxable fringes that need to go in there. That is your relocations, your car allowances, all of this stuff that somebody in finance has been tracking and not telling you about that now has to get in the system in order to show up on W-2s. And then any adjustments somebody, like if Bob moving to Pennsylvania means you're going to redo all of his taxes, yeah, that's going to be one of the adjustments you have to do. You may or may not have to update goal amounts for 2026. Why do I say may or may not? Things like HSA, FSA, 401k, UKG manages the goals. UKG will stop you when you hit the IRS limit. If, however, your company says, we only let people put $10,000 in their 401k, then you're going to have to put that goal in for 2026 if it changes from $10,000. But for the most part, the tax categories should be driving those plans: FSA, HSA, 401k. Again, somebody at Mosaic can help you look at your system and make sure it's set up correctly. The last one is you want to notify your employees of exemption expirations. What does that mean? Your employees turned in their W-4 and they marked, I am exempt from taxes, which means you're reporting. I do not know about commuter IRS maximums. I am sorry. But if you reach out, someone will let you know. So your employees submitted exempt on their W-4. Well, that's only good for this year. Come 2026, they have until the 15th, I think, of February to file a new W-2, or you're supposed to set them to single and zero, whatever the equivalent of that is on the new form. There is a report you can run that will identify all of those people. There is actually a setting in UKG that will track whether employee Bob, I pick on employee Bob a lot, employee Bob has updated his W-2, his W-4, and he can send a new one in that says exempt. It will track if he's done that or not. If he has, he's good. If he hasn't, February 15th or whatever that specific day is, he's single and zero. Again, we can walk you through that. We can show you where that is. So that's December. Like I said, this is your last chance to get it right, because once you've finished December, once you've opened that first January payroll, everything in 2025 is an adjustment. So January, you are hopefully almost done. If you have to do tip allocation, you need to import gross receipts for tip allocation if that needs to be done, or if it's already in there. I say this is a January. This is also an after your last payroll in 2025, if you have time. You're going to generate your year-end forms. You're going to see if there are any changes you have to make, and you're going to do it again. You're just going to keep doing that until everything's good and you know everything. We're done. Everything's done. You want to balance and reconcile your payroll data. You want to review your W-2 and 1099 forms. There are reports you can run to look at them. I know for a lot of you, that's a really big report. Either divvy it out or spot check the people you know are problems. Bob, as we can tell from the conversation we've had so far, Bob is a problem. You want to look at his W-2. Anybody who's moved, anybody who's had some unusual circumstance, you want to spot check to make sure it makes sense. And then the last thing is finalize, print, and distribute your W-2s and 1099s. Now, next slide, we have key dates, and I do have a correction on here. They did release the dates this morning, and I did not get this updated, and Veronica's going to yell at me for that. But January 7th is a Wednesday. That is the day, if you have not finalized your W-2s, UKG will do it for you. UKG does not care if you are printing them, if they are printing them, if you've reincarnated Gutenberg and he is printing them on his press. January 7th, end of business, Eastern Standard Time, W-2s will be locked. They'll be finalized. They're done. Please make sure you've got them correct by then, because anything after that is a correction and a W-2C. The quarter to date analysis report should be available around that same day. They roll out those, so it will not necessarily be on that day. It's going to be around then. They'll start rolling them out. Cash collection for quarter 4 taxes starts shortly after that. And then the 15th is typically the deadline to get your W-2 print files over to UKG if UKG is printing your W-2s. You can get them after that, but if you get it there the 16th, they will not guarantee they're hitting the mail by the 31st. So please try to meet that date. How can we help? Well, of course, we would not be just sitting here telling you about year-end and not being able to tell you what we can do to help. Mosaic has a year-end service package. We will work with clients on the tasks on the checklist. Basically, we'll go through the checklist with you. We'll be like, we can do this, 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 and this. That one's for you. So we can tell you who's got a correct tax code set up, we can't fix it for you. We can't call the state of Pennsylvania and get Bob set up for his taxes. That's on you. You understand that. Yes, the video, this will be, the recording is out there, and I believe we are also sharing the slides. So there we go. We can help you with any of the gateway activities. We're really good at finding those negative wages. When you can't figure out what they are, we're really good at finding them. So we can help with that. We can help you with best practice of not only what you need to do to make 2025 work. We want you to not have those problems in 2026. So this is what you need to do when I go forward. This is what we need to set up so 2026 doesn't run into that problem. Obviously, we are not tax attorneys, so we cannot give you tax advice other than, you know, your FEIN should have more than 3 numbers in it. So there will be some things that if you ask us to help you with year end, there may be some things where we're going to tell you, you need to talk to a tax attorney, you need to talk to your accountant. But we do an awful lot of stuff. We can help you with a lot. And it's, you know, anything from hands-on partnering full-time with somebody to get this stuff done to, yeah, let's get on a 20-minute call. Let me look at it. Oh, check that box. You're good to go. You know, all of our services range from, you know, we got a quick question to we will do as much of it for you as we are legally allowed to do. So if you have questions about that, please, once again, for everything, reach out to Mosaic. Or if you're already working with us on something, reach out to whoever you're talking to. They can get the information over to you and get you in contact with somebody. Now, everyone's favorite topic, the one big, beautiful bill and what it means. Okay. The two big things that really impact us: no tax on tips. Tipped employees will be able to deduct up to $25,000 of earned tips. They must be voluntary tips, which means no gratuities or service charges. So you do want to make sure that you are reporting tips separately from gratuities and service charges. They must be earned by working in a customarily and regularly tipped job. What is that? We don't know yet. Sometime in October, the IRS will give us a list of customarily and regularly tipped jobs. And you're going to have to go through, and it's going to be so much fun. And you're going to have to make sure everybody receiving tips is in one of those jobs, or that you only report the tips in one of those jobs. I'm going to repeat this on the next slide. We do not know what that looks like right now. The W-2 is not changing for 2025. For 2026, this is all going into box 12. For 2025, odds are there's going to be either a form that needs to be filled out, or you send them a letter that has this information. Once we have that information, I know UKG is going to be blasting it. We're going to have the information. So that's where we are on tips. No tax on overtime. This is my favorite. If you're not familiar, no tax on overtime means that employees will be able to take a deduction of up to $12,500 in qualified overtime on their 1040 form. Qualified overtime is the overtime premium, and a half of time and a half for hours worked over 40 in a work week. If you have daily overtime, I'm looking at you, California, that doesn't count. If you've got a union that says 6th day, 7th day is overtime or double time, that doesn't count. If you include PTO in the 40 hours worked towards overtime, that doesn't count. So, and again, as with the tips, we're going to have to provide something to the employees that says this is your qualified overtime dollar amount. What I am working on, and I've with one of my colleagues here, is a general report that's going to calculate total worked hours by week This is how many hours are qualified overtime. So this is what your overtime amount is. Once we're done testing it, that's going to be available. You can probably build one yourselves. It's not going to be terribly difficult. But again, we don't know what this looks like for 2025 yet. And we have absolutely no clue what it looks like for 2026. But there's a good chance the strong recommendation is going to be coefficient overtime, or at least overtime premium as a separate code. So overtime would be paid once at straight time and then again at the 0.5. That's going to be, odds are, what's strongly recommended. So you can pull that out. Another item that I just got an update on is the Secure Act 2.0 as it impacts 401ks. There's the October update from UKG is supposed to give you the opportunity, if you're not familiar, people who made more than a large amount of money in 2025 will have to make all of their catch-up contributions in a Roth. The October update should include a way where you can just go in and say, okay, the Roth plan for this spillover catch-up is going to be this one. One and done. There will be reports so you can see who's going to be impacted. They are hoping to have a way for you to import, especially for people who did 2025 or 2026 go lives, a way to say this is what last year's, the 2025 earnings were, because that's what it's looking on. We can't really look at what somebody made at another job. That's going to be them to deal with the IRS. Got a question. Will UKG have this available, or will need to create and provide? I don't know that UKG is going to have a report available for overtime. And until we know what the forms for reporting this look like, we don't know if UKG will have them either. We are all sitting here nervously twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the IRS to tell us what is going on, because that's what they like to do to us. So, do we have any other questions? And have I missed any questions? If I've missed a question, please put it in there again. Any questions? I'm doing the question dance here. I need a question. Okay. I am not seeing a question, so I'm going to move to the one thing I am kind of famous for when I end my webinars. This is our big, beautiful pomegranate gin fizz drink, because I think everybody's going to want to drink after dealing with the one big, beautiful bill. Hank, UKG set limits for the catch-up deduction and auto allocate to Roth. Yes, that is part of everything that is supposed to be rolled out in October. This drink can also be made with something other than gin, obviously. It's pretty decent with Sprite or 7-Up. And it looks a lot of fun. And if somebody tries this, please make the fancy version for me so I know what it looks like. Daily overtime to OT, but create 2 new earnings for OT. So Britta's got an idea. We're thinking of having daily overtime go to overtime, but 2 new earnings for OTB and OTP, one for base and one for premium. Yes, Reagan, that does look delicious. So the one thought there we have there, Britta, and it's going to depend on your timekeeping system. You need to reach out to whoever's in charge of your timekeeping system. I'm saying we because I'm a UTA, Ultra Pro Time and Attendance person. We need to figure out a way to break out that daily overtime, because those are still hours worked. So they still count as hours worked towards the 40. So you can't just say you're not including daily overtime in the qualified overtime. It's still part of hours work. We're going to have to figure out a way to say, okay, this is just daily overtime, but this, even though it's daily overtime, is time is weekly overtime as well, and breaking out double time. If UKG files our taxes for us and processes W-2s, will they require to provide the OT and tips reporting? For 2026, yes. For 2025, until we know what that looks like, we don't know. I don't know if it's going to be an official IRS form or if it's just going to be, hey, write your employees a letter that includes your FEIN, their social security number, and their tips or their overtime, or their tips and their overtime. And no, Kristen, they do not consider us. I don't think anybody involved in this particular bill has ever done a payroll in their lives. But this is what we have. We are doing our best here at Mosaic to stay on top of this and make sure we have the tools in place to help you. So please reach out if you have any questions, comments, or drink suggestions for my next webinar. That would be great. And if there are no other questions, I'm going to close this. If you come up with a question, once again, reach out. That's what we're here for. We love answering questions. UKG ready for timekeeping. Good luck with that one, Britta. I don't even know that one. So, but we'll find someone and we will help you out. And everyone have a good day. We will see you on the next one.